Cinema is the record of humanity. When this hell ends, our children, their children, will need to know who we are. I love Jennifer Connelly. She's one of my favorite actors and is overall a wonderful person. I'm not one of those obsessive Stan type fans, cause why would anyone over anybody, like what? But I am a fan to the point where I'm aware of everything she's been in. So, one night when I was browsing Amazon Prime Video and came across this movie from 1985, which stars Jennifer Connelly as the main character, I was bewildered as to how I had never heard of it. Therefore, I assumed it was garbage, as not only did I not know about it, but the movie's alternate title, Creepers, really threw me for a loop, since it was completely different from its original title, Phenomena, which I later found out about. After its release in Italy, Phenomena was purchased for distribution in the United States by New Line Cinema, which excised over 20 minutes of the original cut, releasing it under the alternate title, Creepers. This shortened version was also released in the United Kingdom, April 1986. The movie follows Jennifer Corvino, played by Jennifer Connelly, an American teenager who's had trouble sleepwalking for some time. Her doctor said that it can develop a split personality. She discovers her alternate personality when she stays at a prestigious boarding school in Switzerland, where someone has been killing the students, and it relates only indirectly to the criminal sanitarium nearby. Jennifer Corvino discovers her unique ability to communicate with insects and animals, which she uses to help track down a serial killer targeting her fellow students. So yeah, I watched it because it had Jennifer Connelly in it, and despite the strange storyline and mysterious characters within the movie, it ends up being a great film. So I think you should watch it. Here's why. The film was directed by Dario Argento, who's directed classic films such as 1977's Suspiria and 1975's Deep Red. Dario Argento is an Italian film director, screenwriter, and producer. His influential work in the horror and giallo genres during the 1970s and the 1980s has led him to being referred to as the master of thrill and the master of horror. Born September 7th, 1940 in Rome, Italy, the film is a combination of some of Argento's boldest and craziest choices, with Jennifer Connelly in one of her first film roles, just before she faces the Goblin King in Labyrinth. Unlike many of the Argento protagonists before her, Jennifer is not an average citizen in the wrong place at the wrong time. Along with insect telepathy, there is a chimpanzee attendant and a twist in the storyline that certainly fits in with the tone of the film. Plus, there's a delightful appearance by horror icon Donald Pleasence. But wait, there's more. Along with music by Goblin, the soundtrack includes tracks by Motorhead and Iron Maiden. I don't think I need to say anything more about this film. I'm sure you're already watching it. I'm gonna be real with you, because certain movies from the 80s and 90s can be a tough watch. For some people. Not for me personally, but for others who may not be familiar with the beauty of cheesy Troma films and awesome Elm Street sequels that I grew up with as a kid. But after doing a bit more research on the film Phenomena and knowing a little more about its backstory and how it was created, really helped me pick up the remote control and press play. The acting is pretty good. By average, it would still be great even if everyone other than Jennifer was bad. But no, everyone does a pretty swell job, especially all of the cool scenes where Jennifer learns to control her mutant abilities, like some sort of an X-Men comic book character, creating a creepy and sometimes funny atmosphere. Donald Pleasence plays a character called Professor John McGregor, and and he is a huge standout. Fun fact, he actually plays Samuel Loomis in the Halloween franchise. He was fantastic. He really gave this role his all. Like I've said before in the past, my main concern and purpose for making videos on this channel was always with the intention to highlight the positive aspects within the film in question, and in this case, the film being Phenomena. Now, rather than poke fun at it or make negative remarks about the movie, like I did earlier, about possibly thinking it could have been garbage, was just a figure of speech, and to not be taken seriously. It was my way to call back to that moment in time, and by doing so, find a way to correct my actions in the present. Like now, for instance, and keep an open mind for the future, to make it clear that my purpose on YouTube is to clarify my statements and be as transparent and genuine as possible. Before my words become misconstrued and misunderstood by any, I'd like to apologize in advance for any future judgments or mistakes I make along the way. This channel is still growing, and I wanted to take this moment to say thank you to all who have subscribed, liked, and commented. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey, and you all deserve a thoughtful thumbs up.
I know I mentioned it earlier, but I just finished studying Argento in my class on Italian cinema.
Oh,
Can you
yeah?
just how just a moment, just how it was to work with such a classic Italian film director as Argento?
I loved working with him. I think on paper it was an unusual choice. I remember my parents were like, "Oh, yeah, you were offered this movie, and it's kind of crazy. And you sleepwalk, and you witness a murder, and you can communicate with insects, and your best friend is a chimpanzee." And I was like, "I'm in. I'm back in Italy. I'm in." I was like, "I'm ready to go," and I had a great time. I had so much fun, and people have asked me like, was it frightening? Was it disturbing? And I was like, no, it was that we had a whale of a time. And Dario was so sweet. And I got to be back in Italy. And it was this kind of like, he had this mad vision. I completely surrendered to it and had a great time.